Well, today's episode's going to be a little more different now. As you know, we have, of course, two AEW events, Rampage and the Battle of the Belts. There are going to be some killer matches taking place. And we're going to see who levels up on this episode of NXT Level Up. But first things first, we're going to review um, the first time ever this British promotion called One Pro Wrestling. Some interesting wrestlers that we have seen so far here in the United States make their way to the UK, and I think it's going to be fun. But also, we got some news updates. We definitely got to be talking about what's been taking place in the world of pro wrestling. So, let's get ready for another episode of Deleted Wrestle Zone.
Are you ready? Get up, get up! 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 Get up, get up!
Welcome, everybody, to Deleted Wrestle Zone, all things that is pro wrestling with AEW, NXT, New Japan Pro Wrestling, Impact Wrestling, the National Wrestling Alliance, various promotions, wrestlers, matches, and championships. I am your host, J Rod here. So, let's begin with One Pro Wrestling with their event that took place earlier in the month of October called A New Twist of Fate. I think this is a very good title. Opened up with, of course, a couple of wrestlers we all know in the Cruiserweight division. We have Robbie X taking on I can't pronounce it right, Ace Austin of the Bullet Club, also TNA Impact star, former X Division champion. I thought this match had the trademarks of X Division, Cruiserweight, however you want to call it, but it was, of course, the cutter that was made by Robbie X. They gave him the W in order to proceed. Next up, we have, of course, the MLW World Heavyweight title on the line. We have Nathan Cruz taking on Alex Hammerstone. Now, this match was pretty good, but however, Hammerstone, Cruz's tag partner, I forgot what he called himself, decided to whack at Hammerstone with the belt. However, the referee saw that happening. So basically, it was disqualified. But however, it turns out we had a very interesting surprise from a familiar face who's been both on Impact and WWE. We're talking about D'Lo Brown, and it turns out that he is now working with MLW. Now, I was fully aware, if you guys were too, D'Lo Brown is no longer with Impact, so he left. So it's still unclear what the role is going to be, but it's going to be great. So he wanted to restart, but these two idiots, Cruz and his tag partner, did not have it. But of course, it was D'Lo Brown that gave one of them the little frog splash as a message: don't ever screw with him. Now, our next match, we have two of the British finest wrestlers there. We have Jamie Hayter and Session Moth Martina. I thought this match was fun. Not to mention they have a great, reception with them. But it was kind of hard to decide how it's going to be with these two ladies winning. But it was, of course, the Martina with the code breaker right on top of the middle turnbuckle that finished the job for her to put away Hayter and give herself the win. Now, our next match, we have a very interesting match. We have the British Invasion. Doug Williams, the ambassador of British Pro Wrestling, and of course the national treasure, Nick Aldis, taking on a team that they haven't seen in 16 years. Team Shaq consisted of Greg Birdridge, I don't know who he is, and someone we know is Boom Boom Colt Cabana. Boom Boom. Yeah, that's right. He shows up. I thought this match was fun, some great moments, but it was, of course, Colt Cabana's Superman finisher that finished off the job onto Williams, giving them the win. Next up, we have the survival of the sickest. So basically, you have two teams involved in ever been involved in, of course, death matches. Team number one, Team Iceman. We have Clint, Margera, Jack, and Iceman, who is the team captain, taking on Team Ulf, Tyler Devlin, Will Cross, and Ulf Herman from Germany. I don't know much about this guy, but I have to say it was a pretty good moment. But it was, of course, a chokeslam by Ulf Herman onto Iceman that picked up the win. Now, I don't know much about this guy, but it seems people are behind them. The guy is from Germany. I did not know that, but it would make sense. Now, our next match, we have a bit of a fight for the future elimination match. We have man like the Reese versus Coleman Newman versus Scotty Rank versus Luke Jacobs versus Amir Jordan versus Ace Matthews. Now, the way this match ended, it was turned around. Now, Matthew shows up trying to be a total idiot, trying to say that he's going to be the one winning, but apparently it did not go as well. What was his name? Scotty Rourke, he actually took him out with the heel kick and pinned him. And then, of course, Callum Newman was the next to be eliminated by Jacobs with the big lariat. Then after that, the Reese was eliminated by Rajak with the spinning heel kick that gave him the win. Then, of course, Amir Jordan was once again eliminated by Jordan with the lariat. And then, of course, finally, between Jacobs and Rock, it was Jacobs who walked away with the win with the super Tiger Driver, giving them the win. I thought this match was fun. I thought it was great. I enjoyed it a lot. Now, our next match, we have women's action. We have Lizzie Evo versus Hardcore Country. That's right. Mickie James was there. I was surprised to see her, but it was great. However, I don't think this match was too much bump because I can tell from the ending, I'm going to skip this a little bit, that Mickie James did not do a perfectly done move. I think she might have botched the Mickey DDT, but she did won the match. However, she was attacked by someone named Tonga, and of course, Session Moth Martinez showed up with the save. So I don't know what's going to happen, but that's going to be interesting. I would be surprised if some point down the line that we're gonna see Martina and James team up, while Tonga and Lizzie Evo would. That's something I would be surprised with. Next match, we have Cara Noor versus Christopher Daniels. I thought this match was an instant classic. Seeing Cara Noor before at DDT showed me a perspective, but it was great. I loved it. But it was, of course, Cara Noor with a chokehold onto Daniels that gave him the win. I thought it was beautiful. It was great. Then our final match, we have Mark Haskins with his wife Vicky Haskins taking on Rob Van Dam, along with his wife Katie Forbes. Great match. However, referee was knocked out, but there was going to be some involvement. I mean, Vicky got involved, but she got her butt kicked by Katie. But Mark Haskins decided to low blow Rob Van Dam, and then he applied his kill shot maneuver to give him the win. So basically, he claims that this is his house. He now actually put that Rob Van Dam is now one of his fallen victims. So sooner or later, he's going to screw up one way or the other. So I thought it was a pretty good show. I liked it. It was very unique, very different, especially who was going to be there. But yeah, so I think that's pretty much it with this one. Let's move on with AEW Rampage. Okay, AEW Rampage opened up with the Blackpool Combat Club consistent of the AEW World Champion Jon Moxley, the former Ring of Honor World Champion Claudio Castagnoli, and of course the former ROH Pure Champion Wheeler Yuta to take on Roosh and Private Party Mark Quinn and Isaiah Cassidy. Now was a test that I believe that the way the story is being told, Roosh wants the Private Party to be acting exactly like they're supposed to be. But however, when it comes to the Blackpool Combat Club, these guys are going to be vicious, they're going to be dangerous. But it was Yuta that picked up the win when he formed the bicep, what do you call it? The bicep slice, which is a different, like a kind of a similar to an arm bar, but except you're using the opponent's bicep in order to break it or whatever This, however, they were trying to do it. That was done by Wheeler Yuta to do that onto Mark Quinn that allowed them to win. So it was a very impressive submission, I have to say by that. So thank God that William Regal was able to explain that while he was doing on commentary, as always. Next up, we got Josh Woods and Tony Nese, along with that dumb lawyer, Mark Sterling, as always. But you can guess this match ended with that combination neck breaker that they've been using a whole lot during their time teaming. However, during the post match, they declared themselves or calling themselves the Varsity Premier, and they're telling Varsity Blondes that they're no longer allowed to use the name Varsity since it was a trademark. So basically, they're saying that's pretty much it. But sooner or later, someone's gonna have to tell Sterling he cannot tell another team to do that. However, I don't know exactly what's gonna happen to the Blondes. They haven't been on a good winning terms ever since Julia Hart actually left. Now, our next match we have, of course, the Jericho Appreciation Society, Ty Mello and Anna Jay against Madison Rayne and Sky Blue. Now, they claim that, of course, sports entertainers always win against pro wrestlers. However, they did manage to do that until, of course, the Queen Slider was applied on Sky Blue thanks to Anna Jay to give them the win. Our next and final match is the AEW World Trios title. Dark Order 10 Silver Reynolds taking on Death Triangle, Pac, Rey Fenix, and Penta El Zero. The match was insane. I have to say it was a pretty good one. I thought this match would have gone in the favor of both, of course, Dark Order, since we know this was was the final match of the late Brody Lee before he passed, and I thought it was like that. But except, however, Jose shows up out of the blue, tries to get 10 to sign. That led to the distraction for Rush to show up and give Pac the hammer, the hammer that he used for the ring bell onto on who did he try it on? Onto Reynolds. But later, of course, Pac applied the brutalizer in order to ensure to retain the titles. So basically, Dark Order still dealing with La Facción Negra, trying to recruit 10 no matter what, because they believe 10 is being held back. But we all know that's not true. So we'll see how that goes. And I think that's pretty much it with AEW Rampage. I say let's move on with AEW Battle of the Belts. Okay, Battle of the Belts. I have to say, I was pretty much surprised how this opened up. Two reasons. Why? Pac had to go back to back matches. As soon as Rampage ended with him retaining the uh, trios titles, he goes back. He's still in the ring, preparing for his second title defense, and that is, of course, the All Atlantic Championship. I did not anticipate that. I would have assumed that should have been like the main event, but or something. I don't know. But I have to say it was a pretty interesting dynamic, showing what an amazing fighter Pac can be. But of course, using the hammer was one of the things. But the match could have gone either way. But if it wasn't for that bell hammer once again that Pac used earlier, he decided to try that again with Trent Beretta. When he won the match, apparently the post-match we saw the arrival of Orange Cassidy, who hasn't forgotten what he did. So now Orange Cassidy's out for revenge against Pac for what he did. The obvious question is, will this once again be about the All-Atlantic title? I don't know. So that's yet to be seen until is officially done. Now, anyway, we get an interview with the JSA, the Jericho Appreciation Society. As you know, Jericho had it with the whole thing that he's being accused by Toei Schiavone for cheating, which of course they did. They even talked about Garcia, and they even talked about Bryan Danielson. As you know, Jericho's out to destroy the legacy of Ring of Honor. As you know, they believe Honor is a bunch of crap in his opinion, but he's facing someone who's been in that title reign before. So we'll see where they're going to go with that. Now, our next match is the TBS title. We had Jade Cargill once again defending her title against Willow Nightingale, who has lost against Jade once before, but also lost against Jade in the baddies. So that means she lost twice the matches. Luckily, the baddies did not interfere like I would have assumed, as I thought. But, however, it wasn't enough until Jade Cargill applied the Jaded on her, giving her 39 victory. But, however, Vicky and Marina Shafir shows up, and it caused a little distraction for Nyla Rose to take the TBS title and run off with it. So I think the obvious question does remain. Is Nyla Rose making a play for the TBS title? Who knows? Because we know these two women have faced off before in the past, and I'm sure that this is more, the feud might rekindle once again. But the obvious is, can Nyla Rose be the one to dethrone Jade? Well, we'll find out soon enough. Now, we do get a little interview that it was set up by Matt Hardy, who had enough of Stokely Hathaway and Ethan Page getting about his business, and they're saying that he's contract tampering with the private party. So basically, they're trying to get under his nerves and all this other stuff. So they trying to stick their nose where it doesn't belong. But however, Matt Hardy did say that he wants a piece of that of Ethan Page for getting involved in things that doesn't concern them. Even though it's true, it doesn't concern Stokely Hathaway. I think he's trying to build up a way to remove all the other units away from, try to topple them down. That's what I think is going on. So we'll see what happens. Now, our main event is the Ring of Honor World Tag Team titles. We had the Gates of Agony. What's their name? Tao Leona and Joseph Kahn, along with Prince Nana of the Embassy, taking on FTR, Dax Harwood, and Cash Wheeler. I thought this match was pretty good. However, much of this match was more of trying to keep Wheeler away from Dax, because we know that once Dax is in, it's going to be crazy. And that's exactly what happened. But once again, Prince Nana decided to interfere, try to hope that maybe his team would win, but apparently he got knocked out by Khan, and it gave, of course, FTR the momentum to pick up the win onto the Gates of Agony to retain the ROH title. But however, the beatdown happened. Even Brian Cage shows up, tries to give the number gains. Even Warlow shows up, tries to help, but it's still not enough until Warlow, Samoa Joe's newest friend and also a new ally for FTR, gave them the helping hand. So we probably will see a feud between, the Embassy and whatever they call themselves, FTR, Warlow, and what's his name, and Samoa Joe. I wouldn't be surprised if they become like a new version of the Four Horsemen, but much cooler, in my opinion. So I think that's pretty much it, what took place on AEW Battle of the Belts. I believe it's time to find out who levels up on NXT Level Up. Alrighty then, so who levels up on this episode of NXT Level Up? So let's find out. Our first match, we have Indy Hartwell versus, I believe, Sloane Jacobs. Now, we haven't seen Sloane Jacobs a lot, but Indy Hartwell, as you know, has been trying to get back to her winning ways since, we know where the Garganos are at, both Candice and Johnny, and of course, Dex Loomis, who's doing his own thing, torturing Miz out of his dang mind. But Indy is getting back on track, and I think she is trying to prove exactly what she needed to do, and I think this is just what she needed. However, she did pick up a good win against Jacobs when she does the spine buster. 1, 2, 3. That's another W right there for her, and hopefully she continues on with her winning ways. Now, we do get an interview with Ariana Grace and Kiana James. As you know, they try to say they're better than any other female wrestlers there's in the roster, but right now they are facing off a very new pair duo, but they've been making a really good name for themselves. Of course, we have Fallon Henley and Sol Ruca, who is the newest addition in NXT, who we see a lot in NXT Level Up. So the obvious is, can their smarts beat them? We'll find out till we get to the main event. Now, our next match, we have Miles Bourne taking on Guru Raj. I have to say it was a good match because, as you know, Miles Bourne, as you know, people have been talked about him in the past because we weren't unaware of Miles Bourne, of his ability, as you know, him being deaf and that kind of thing. and I think that kind of built awareness for Miles Bourne. But the obvious question does remain: can he pick up his first win? Well, he did when he applied the flatliner onto Guru Raj, giving him his first win so far. So hopefully he can build up more momentum, but he still got a long way to go, and we'll see where it takes him in the near future. Now, our main event, we have Kiana James and Grace taking on Fallon Henley and Sol Ruka. Now, I wasn't sure how Henley and Ruka would coexist due to the fact that they're completely different from each other. You got Henley, who is more of the um, bar girl who's always looking for a fight and having a good time, versus someone who's been surfing, that kind of thing. But I think it did help out because there was that one moment where, of course, we thought that Kiana James was about to take out Soruka, but Henley was smart enough to get her out of the ring, to triple her out of the way in order for to, make the official win. It was Henley that picked up the win when she applied the infamous Shiny Wizard 1, 2, 3. She picked up a good win for her and Soruka. So I have to say, pretty good team. But the obvious question: will we ever see them team up again? We'll see. Only time will tell. As you know, we'll be seeing more of them in NXT. But of course, Henley, we will see her a lot with Briggs and Jensen down in NXT. So I think that's pretty much it with that. So let's move on with our final thing, which is news updates. Okay, welcome to the news update. So here's what we have so far. Deadlock Pro Wrestling, or as we know them as DPW, has announced for their upcoming pay-per-view for the month of November, and this one's called The World's Strongest. Now, no new information yet on who's going to participate. I'm sure they're going to give us some good wrestlers involved in this. This will take place November 12th. I'll be sticking by on this one as long as possible to get more information to see what happens then. Now, you may have heard the interesting developments coming from AEW. As you know, Jon Moxley has signed an exclusive 5-year deal with AEW. Turns out he was wrestling without a contract or something like that, from my understanding. So basically, he signed for talent quality and additional expansion of his roles as mentoring and coaching. But this also gives him the opportunity to work with, of course, AEW's partners, which is New Japan Pro Wrestling, of course. But there's no indication if he will be continuing to wrestle with GCW and Wrestling Revolver. As you know, he's been making a lot of appearances in those two promotions in recent times. So we'll find out, hopefully, if that's the case. But as you know, Jon Moxley will be putting the title on the line against Nick Gage. If that's the case, then we'll find out if he loses it or retains it. Now, we have some relating news coming from WWE. The first one, you may have heard that rumors that Legado del Fantasma is back, which I say, well, there were rumors that they were going to appear in SmackDown, but they did. The interesting, surprising is they showed up without Elektra Lopez, but they had Zelina Vega by their side. Now, it was kind of very unusual. Now, there was no indications why we had Elektra Lopez was not there, but Zelina Vega is there. Um, it was very strange, but hopefully we will find out the answer to that. And as you know, they made their appearance when they attacked the rivals back from NXT. Hit Row looks more like they're trying to rekindle their feud, and I think that's going to tell us a different story. Like, we haven't forgotten the last time, and I think that's what's going to be. But like I said, we don't know what's the official idea of Elektra Lopez. We would have assumed she'll be making her way down to the main roster, but I feel that she hasn't did some goals in her mind. I'm talking about maybe the NXT Women's title, and of course the tag team titles, whoever she teams up with. I think that's one of those things we haven't seen her do yet, but we'll find out. Now, in relations to WWE, we do have Nigel McGuinness, who has been a ring announcer, a commentator from NXT UK, and of course on NXT. Was announced that he's been released from the company, so there's still no indication what he's going to do afterwards, but he's officially gone from WWE now that he's no longer working. Now, if you guys were aware of what happened this Tuesday, we did not see Mandy Rose. It was kind of strange. It was revealed that before the NXT programming, Mandy Rose received some saddened news that one of her brothers, I think it was Richard, I believe. Hold on. Yeah, Richard passed away. Now there is no clear details of the cause of death or anything. I'm sure they're gonna keep that one private. Uh, if you saw the segment, what happened on NXT, just Alba Fire attacked Toxic Attraction and kidnapped Mandy Rose, but she did. As you know, you didn't see her. I believe they just built up the story that she just kidnapped her, that sort of thing. And I think that kind of tells us that okay, at least they try to put her name into this, but that's how it is. But right now, the family are dealing with this big grief, losing um, Mandy Rose's brother Richard. Our thoughts and prayers are go to her and her family, and hopefully we see her again this coming Tuesday, or we'll just wait until Halloween Havoc. So hopefully that's the case. We'll just find out soon enough. And I think that's pretty much it. So I believe it's time to call it a day. Well, I hope everybody enjoys this episode. I want to make a confession. Originally, I was trying to put Bound for Glory by Impact Wrestling, but I feel like there was not enough time for me to get to that. Uh, I decided I'm going to do that on the next episode along with Choco Pro and NWA USA, and that will be on a separate um, video, and hopefully I do another one afterwards or just combine it, however it's going to be. Don't forget, we got the Extreme Rules taking place. Stardom continues with their weekend shows from Saturday all the way to Monday. Um, and of course, I'm still working on developing more information on Unagi. Sayaka, as you know, she is currently going freelancing for the time being until she makes her return. So we'll see what happens then. So I'll see you guys in the next DWZ time. Same DWZ channel. I must bid all of you adieu. So goodbye. Mwah. And have a nice day. Bang.